everyone, welcome to my decade series. This is the 1940s, where bright red lips and full lashes were what it was all about. I hope you enjoy this tutorial and learn something from it. Okay, I'm going to start out with the eyes. In the 1940s, very natural colors were used, if any at all. A lot of times women would put a little bit of Vaseline on their lids to give them a little bit of shine. Sometimes they would use just muted browns or grays. Really, the two features that were played up in the 40s were the lashes and the very bright red lips. So since eyeshadow is really going to be muted down today, I'm not going to use any kind of base. I'm going to start out with using a 252 brush and putting a medium to light brown on my lid. I'm using the color called Era. You want to pick a color that's just slightly darker than your skin tone. I'm just going to lightly brush on a little bit of highlight color. I'm going to use Blanc type. It's a matte beige. I'm using the same brush. Doesn't need to be applied too thickly, just something to kind of even out the skin tone up there. And then in the crease, I'm going to use Cork. That's really all there's to the eyeshadow for this look. I'm going to go on to my eyeliner. I'm going to use a dark brown color. It's called Dip Down. It's a gel liner, and I'm going to use a 231 brush to put that on. It gives a very nice thin line. I want to keep this line very thin. I'm not going to wing it out. I'm just going to make the lashes look a little bit fuller. In all the research that I did, I didn't read anything about this particularly, but in all the pictures that I saw, it seemed that the women had very bright under eye area, specifically the waterline. So I'm going to use a nude colored eye pencil and do the waterline. This just gives kind of a more energized appearance. I'm going to move on and talk about foundation. In the 20s and 30s, a lighter, more ivory type complexion was in style. And in the 40s, we see that transition into more of a darker and rosy colored foundation. Many times women would find a foundation that's a shade or two darker than their face, and that had a pink base to it. So I'm going to be using MAC's NW25 color, which is a pink-based foundation, and I'm also going to mix it with an NC25 foundation, which is more of a yellow-based foundation, simply because I don't want to go too pink for my skin since I have yellow undertones. So I don't know how well the color is picking up on camera, but in person it's not too bad, but it is a little bit too dark for me and a little too pink. But that's perfect because that's what we're going for. The second half to the foundation step is setting it with the powder. Believe it or not, they would actually set their darker foundation with a lighter powder. The thin brows of the 1920s and 30s were no longer in style. Now for the blush, I'm going to use something that's a little bit more neutral with like a peachy tone to it. I'm going to use a color called Cantaloupe. It is a matte peach color. So right on the apples of the cheeks, brought down a little bit. Moving on to my lips. So far, each decade that I've covered has had a different way of filling in their lips. In the 20s, it was a very pursed look. In the 30s, it was an elongated bow that made the lip wider. And in the 40s, they accentuate the top lip. They leave the bottom lip alone, but they accentuate the top lip so that it looks a little bit fuller and wider. Very bright reds were popular. Orange reds, blue reds, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to be using an orangey red, and I'm going to fill in with a color called red. It's a lip liner. The last step is mascara. Like I said earlier, lashes were the biggest accessory, so you could either do false lashes or just a few coats of mascara and make sure to curl your lashes. So that's my final look. I'm really happy with how it came out. So to go over some of the highlights from the 40s, you want to do a natural groomed brow, but you still want to have a arch. You want to do more of a peachy blush, bring it down a little bit into the hollows of the cheeks, very bright red lipstick, and emphasize the top lip, minimal eyeshadow, and lots of lashes. I hope you enjoyed this look as much as I did. Come back for the 1950s look next.